Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to begin my comments about Bill C-3 today by first recognizing the great work done by Quebecers to shift the conversation about immigration in our country into a more positive direction. Je veux féliciter les...
I'd like to congratulate Quebec nationalists. For a number of years, Quebecers have not been afraid to speak out about immigration and integration. More must be done to improve our immigration system, so thank you for your courage.
One of the Quebecers I'd like to acknowledge is a great young man from the beautiful city of Montreal, Mr. Anthony Koch, who took to the pages of the National Post this summer to identify his concerns about an issue that is holding Canada back from having a common sense conversation about immigration policy. I'd like to read some of the words from Mr. Koch for the benefit of those in the House. Mr. Koch wrote, "The fact that my grandparents were immigrants does not mean I must support mass immigration forever. It does not mean I must stand aside while my country becomes unrecognizable. It does not mean I must endorse the strain on schools, hospitals, housing markets, and communities that unsustainable immigration levels bring in the name of some imaginary moral debt I never incurred. I owe nothing to the people who use my heritage as a weapon." I want to thank Mr. Koch for his words. And I would like to point out, Mr. Speaker, that his point that the heritage of the descendants of immigrants is often used by liberals as a weapon to wedge us and corner us and make us feel as though we have to agree with their immigration policies. It is immoral, and it is important to note that it is observable in the debates about Bill C-3 in this House, formerly known as Bill C-71. Mr. Speaker, you may know I like to do my homework, and so I combed through the transcripts of the debates on Bill C-3, and I found numerous examples of Liberal MPs and NDP MPs making reference to their heritage as immigrants or the descendant of immigrants as if that necessitates a certain perspective on Bill C-3, as if it necessitates a certain position on this legislation. Some examples could come from the MP for Vancouver-Granville, the MP for Kingston, the MP for Spadina Harbourfront, the MP for Vancouver East, all of whom made reference in this House to their own family heritage, their own immigration history in their family, as if that is relevant to their position on Bill C-3. I think that is a textbook example, Mr. Speaker, of what Mr. Koch writes about, of the tendency of liberals to weaponize one's heritage against themselves, and I would go so far as to say a textbook example of liberal racism, which has run amok here in Ottawa. Now, Mr. Speaker, I would like to explain this further, and I will go by sharing my own family history to provide some contrast. My father came to this country from Kenya. You could make a movie about my father's life. Born an orphan in Nairobi, a black African man, very proud of his heritage. He was adopted by an Ismaili family and re-orphaned as a teenager, had to teach himself how to be a man. Came to this country and worked in hotel restaurants and kitchens. Hard work and hard labor that took a toll on his body, which you can see in him today. And I can assure you, Mr. Speaker, that my father did not do all that hard work so that one day some smug liberals in Ottawa could tell his son he's got to support liberal immigration policies and the cheapening of Canadian citizenship. My grandfather came to this country from Scotland after World War II, broke, empty pockets, had not a dollar to his name, got a good union job working as a school custodian at the Toronto District School Board. And when everyone else went home for the evening, he was still there working, mopping the floors and cleaning the classrooms so that children had a nice place to learn the next day. And I can assure you, Mr. Speaker, he did not mop those floors and clean those classrooms so that one day some smug liberals in Ottawa could tell his son or grandson that he's got to support liberal immigration policies and the cheapening of Canadian citizenship. My grandma came to this country from Ireland after World War II decimated her neighborhood in Belfast. Came here and met my grandpa, and together they raised 4 children. She helped raise grandbabies. She attended church every Sunday. She loved this country and she loved Jesus Christ. And she did not do all that work raising children so that one day some smug liberals in Ottawa could tell her grandbaby that he's got to support liberal immigration policies and the cheapening of Canadian citizenship. My point, Mr. Speaker, is that my family came here to be part of this country. They came here to be free people. And to be free people means we get to have different points of view than liberals on important issues, including immigration and citizenship. We are free to say what we believe is best for the future of this country as equal Canadians. And the idea that our heritage would be used against us to push us around and make us feel like we've got to endorse their broken policies that have led to the public trust and confidence in the immigration system being the lowest it has ever been in my lifetime. That's wild. We reject the weaponization of our heritage. We reject liberal racism. They can kick rocks with that. I don't want to hear it. It's a new day. It's a new day, Mr. Speaker, a new day in the House of Commons, a new day in this country where people from all diverse religious and cultural backgrounds can stand with confidence and say, we reject liberal immigration policies. We do not agree with them. We do not agree with what they have done to this system. And we are building a diverse and beautiful movement. Let me tell you, Mr. Speaker, in my home community of Bowmanville, Oshawa North, people from all religious and cultural backgrounds coming together, unifying in opposition to what the liberals have done to immigration in this country. People who grew up speaking English at home, people who learned English much later on in life, building bridges and talking to each other about what's gone wrong with immigration policy in this country. And they will pay lip service, the liberals will, and pretend that they're making changes. And yet, we see what's happening in this House right now. With Bill C-3, the doubling down on the very irresponsible and unsustainable approach to immigration that has gotten us to this point. It is a serious problem, and they make light of it. They think they can tell you because you're the descendant of an immigrant, you gotta line up behind them. No, not happening. Not happening. My grandparents and my father did not work this hard so we could be pushed around by these guys. And it's not gonna happen anymore. So the point I would like to reiterate, Mr. Speaker, is that we have very serious problems in the immigration system. And if the liberals want to assure the public that they should have trust and confidence that this liberal government can fix them, then doubling down on the same direction is the wrong way to go. Putting forward legislation where the government cannot even assure the Canadian people how many individuals will be entering our country as a result of it is them doubling down on the very same broken approach. Putting forward legislation where they cannot tell us how many new people are coming into our country, despite the overcrowded hospitals, despite not having enough houses and enough jobs, despite traffic in the GTA getting worse and worse every day. And we're supposed to just sit back and accept that the very same people who broke the system want to continue going in the wrong direction, but we're not supposed to say anything about it because we're the descendant of immigrants? No, no, no. Unacceptable. So, in conclusion, Mr. Speaker, I would like to acknowledge the good work done by Conservative members of the Immigration Committee here in Ottawa to present some common sense amendments to try to salvage and instill some sensibility into a piece of legislation that is horribly flawed and that reflects once again that the Liberals have learned nothing from the fact that public trust and confidence in our immigration system is at the lowest it's been in my lifetime. Thank you.
Questions and comments. Question and commentaire. The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Government House Leader.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I don't think you'll give me enough time to be able to respond fully in terms of the statements that have been made. But I can tell the member. At the end of the day, we had an election not that long ago in which the Prime Minister made a commitment to be able to deal with the immigration issue, and that means by stabilizing it. And we are well on the way to do that. There's a reason why we're at this stage. Yes, the federal government has to take some responsibility, but so do post-secondary facilities, so do other stakeholders like provinces and so forth. It's not just one government at fault here. And to try to give the impression that you can't reflect on your heritage in a negative way towards the government and then go ahead and reflect on his own heritage, I think there's some inconsistencies that are there. The question that I would ask the member, does the Conservative Party will they support Bill C-3?
The honourable member for Bowmanville, Oshawa North.
Mr. Speaker, my colleagues, Conservative colleagues on the Immigration Committee have put forward a series of amendments asking the Liberal government to make better decisions about immigration policy. The ball is now in their court. Are they going to actually instill some common sense in this legislation or continue doubling down on the very approach that has broken the immigration system we have today? Now, the member wants to bring up the fact that I referenced my heritage. Let me reaffirm to the member what the point is, that you cannot tell, even though Liberals would love to believe they can, what someone thinks based on what they look like or where they come from. And that two people can both be descended from immigrants and both have a debate about immigration policy. They do not get to subscribe to us or ascribe to us as Liberals what we are going to say and believe, despite our heritage in this country. We are free people, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much.
Question commentaire dans la...
The Honourable Member for Lac Saint Jean. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'd like to thank my colleague for his speech. I was at the Immigration Committee hearings on C3. We heard from experts. We've studied their testimony. One of the amendments that was tabled and was debated and was approved by a majority of members of the committee to amend C3. Well, there were a number of amendments, and today we're seeing that the Liberals are trying to use the House to remove amendments which were approved by a majority of members on committee. So I'd like to know what my colleague thinks about what this means about the Liberals' vision of the work done by committees, the work that we do when we do serious study of bills, and it's our job as parliamentarians to do that. What does this say about the Liberals' vision of parliamentary democracy in committee?
Bowmanville, Oshawa North.
I want to thank my colleague for the question. I wish I could respond to him in French. I'm working on it, Mr. Speaker. I will get there at some point. I do agree with my colleague across the way that the Liberal government pretends that they want to work with people. They say this all the time. Oh, we just want to work with you. They want to accuse the opposition parties of being obstructionists. We engage in the process that our constituents voted for us to come here and engage in. We present amendments, they pass through committee, and yet the Liberals still say no. It is a sign. They are the obstructionists. The Liberals are the obstructionists here in Ottawa, and their approach to immigration is a perfect example. They pretend they want to change, and they go to their friends in the media, and the media amplifies their message like they want to change directions. Look at the numbers. They speak for themselves. They've broken the system, and they don't want to fix it.
Questions and comments. The honourable member for Cloverdale, Langley City, about 40 seconds.
At a time when our immigration system's already stretched and faith in its fairness is fading, Bill C-3 tells the world you can be Canadian without ever truly living here. Canadian citizenship is one of the most valuable things in the world, and it's something generations have worked hard to earn and to honour. Bill C-3 would give automatic citizenship to children born abroad, even when their parents have spent little time actually living in Canada. We used to have an immigration system that was the envy of the world, rooted in fairness, contribution, and community. But this bill risks turning citizenship into a paper privilege rather than a lived commitment. So my question is simple. Before granting citizenship, shouldn't we expect at least some genuine connection, some proof of interest, effort, or belonging to the country we all call home?
The honourable member for Bowmanville, Oshawa North, a brief response.
Yes, we should expect a real connection to this country before issuing citizenship to people. That is a bare minimum expectation that all Canadians from all different cultures, religions, and backgrounds can agree to. And it's one that is now under attack, a consensus under attack by the Liberal government. They should be ashamed of themselves.